There's something happening to you right now that you might not fully recognize, and once you understand what it is, everything about your spiritual journey will suddenly make sense. You've been experiencing what I call the quantum recognition phase, where your consciousness has already begun operating from a higher dimensional frequency, but your human mind hasn't caught up to register the shift that's already occurred. This isn't about future manifestation or potential transformation. This is about recognizing that the shift you've been seeking has already taken place at the quantum level, and the external world is simply catching up to reflect this new energetic signature you're now broadcasting. Most people spend years trying to force themselves into a new reality, pushing against their current circumstances, visualizing future outcomes, and exhausting themselves with spiritual practices that feel like uphill battles. But what if I told you that the very fact you're experiencing certain specific phenomena means you've already quantum jumped into a parallel timeline where your consciousness operates from an entirely different frequency? What if the confusion, the emotional purging, the sudden clarity about what no longer serves you, and the mysterious way certain people and opportunities have started appearing in your life aren't signs that you're working toward transformation, but proof that transformation has already occurred and is now integrating through the layers of your human experience? The quantum field doesn't operate according to linear time the way our physical dimension does. When you make a genuine energetic shift in consciousness, that shift ripples across all possible timelines simultaneously, and your awareness begins receiving information and experiences from the new reality you've stepped into. However, because your nervous system and belief patterns were calibrated to the old frequency, there's often a lag time where you're living in two realities at once. Your consciousness has shifted, but your human experience is still processing the transition, which creates some very specific symptoms that most people misinterpret as signs they're not making progress. This quantum displacement creates what I call the recognition gap, where your soul knows something has fundamentally changed, but your personality is still trying to understand the shift through old reference points that no longer apply. You might notice that conversations you used to enjoy now feel hollow or draining. Foods that once appealed to you suddenly lose their attraction. Relationships that felt normal begin revealing dynamics that no longer resonate with who you're becoming. These aren't random occurrences or signs that something is wrong with you. These are calibration adjustments happening because your energetic frequency has shifted into a new bandwidth. And anything that doesn't match this new frequency naturally begins falling away or transforming to meet you at your new level of being. The most profound aspect of this quantum shifting is that it often happens during periods when you feel like nothing is working, when you're experiencing what seems like spiritual stagnation or even regression. Your logical mind interprets the dismantling of old patterns as failure, but quantum mechanics reveals something completely different. What appears to be breakdown is actually breakthrough occurring at the foundational level of your reality matrix. The old timeline you were operating from is literally dissolving, and the new one is crystallizing around your shifted consciousness. But this process requires the temporary suspension of familiar reference points, while the new structure stabilizes. Think of it like updating the operating system of a computer. During the installation process, many of the familiar programs become temporarily inaccessible. The interface looks different, and some functions might seem slower or unresponsive. But once the update completes, the entire system operates more efficiently with access to capabilities that weren't possible before. Your consciousness has already downloaded the new operating system, and what you're experiencing now are the integration protocols as your human experience adapts to this expanded way of being. The field of infinite possibility is constantly responsive to the electromagnetic signature of your heart and the coherent patterns of your thoughts and emotions. When these elements align in a new configuration, even for moments at a time, they broadcast a different signal into the quantum matrix, and that signal immediately begins attracting experiences that match its frequency. But here's what most spiritual teachings miss. You don't have to maintain perfect coherence for the shift to occur. You only need to reach the tipping point where your new frequency becomes more dominant than your old one. And that tipping point often happens during moments of surrender, when you're not even trying to transform anything. Understanding the specific signs that indicate you've already quantum shifted is crucial, because recognizing these symptoms allows you to stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. The first and most common indicator is what I call temporal displacement, where you begin experiencing time differently. Hours pass like minutes when you're engaged in activities that align with your new frequency, while activities that used to fill your time now feel almost unbearably slow or meaningless. This isn't just preference change. This is your consciousness operating from a timeline where different activities carry different energetic weights, and your perception of time adjusts accordingly. Another unmistakable sign is the spontaneous dissolution of emotional charges around situations that previously triggered intense reactions. You might notice that people or circumstances that once sent you into anxiety, anger, or sadness now barely register on your emotional radar, not because you've suppressed your feelings, but because the version of you that resonated with those triggers no longer exists in your new reality. Your consciousness has shifted into a timeline where those particular emotional patterns simply don't have the same magnetic pull, and without the energetic charge to sustain them, they naturally fade from your experience. Physical symptoms often accompany quantum shifting as well, though they're frequently misunderstood as health issues or spiritual purging. You might experience changes in sleep patterns, dietary preferences, or energy levels that seem to have no medical explanation. Your body is recalibrating to match the vibration of your shifted consciousness, and this process can create temporary sensitivities or alterations in your physical needs. Some people report unusual sensations during meditation, unexpected emotional releases, or moments of feeling simultaneously deeply connected to everything and somewhat detached from their personal circumstances. Perhaps the most significant indicator is the phenomenon I call reality coherence, where the external world begins reflecting your internal shifts with remarkable precision and timing. Synchronicities become so frequent, they stop feeling remarkable and start feeling like the natural way reality operates. People mention exactly what you've been thinking about. Opportunities appear that directly address questions you've been contemplating, and solutions manifest for problems before you even fully articulate what you need. This isn't manifestation in the traditional sense where you focus on desired outcomes. This is the natural responsiveness of a reality that's now aligned with your shifted consciousness. The quantum field operates through what scientists call non-local correlation, meaning that when your consciousness shifts into a new frequency, it instantly becomes entangled with all the people, circumstances, and opportunities that exist in resonance with that frequency. You don't have to search for your tribe, your purpose, or your path anymore, because they begin finding you through the mysterious orchestration of a reality that's now organized around your new energetic signature. But because this process unfolds organically rather than through deliberate effort, many people don't recognize it as evidence of quantum shifting. One of the most profound symptoms is what I call the observer perspective, where you begin experiencing your life as if you're simultaneously participating in it and watching it unfold from a higher vantage point. Decisions become clearer because you can sense which choices lead toward expansion and which lead toward contraction. Drama loses its hypnotic pull because you can see the energetic dynamics at play rather than getting caught in the emotional content. This isn't detachment or spiritual bypassing. This is the natural result of consciousness operating from a more expanded frequency, where you have access to information and perspective that weren't available from your previous level of awareness. If you're recognizing these patterns in your own experience, I want you to know that what you're going through isn't random, and you're not imagining the shifts you're sensing. Your consciousness has courageously stepped into a new reality, and your human experience is now adjusting to match that shift. This is sacred work, and it requires patience with yourself as all the layers of your being come into alignment with who you've become. Now that you understand you've already quantum shifted, the question becomes how to navigate the integration process with grace and wisdom rather than resistance and confusion. Integration isn't about speeding up the process or forcing your external reality to catch up faster. It's about learning to live comfortably in the space between realities, while your new frequency stabilizes across all dimensions of your experience. This requires a fundamental shift in how you relate to uncertainty, change, and the unfolding of your life circumstances. The most important principle to understand during integration is that your new consciousness will naturally attract experiences that help it establish itself in physical reality. This means you might encounter situations that seem to challenge your spiritual growth or test your newfound clarity, but these aren't setbacks or signs that you're regressing. These are what I call resonance tests, where the universe provides opportunities for you to practice operating from your new frequency under various conditions. Each time you respond to a challenging situation from your shifted consciousness, rather than your old reactive patterns, you strengthen the neural pathways and energetic channels that support your new way of being. During this phase, it's crucial to trust the intelligence of the process rather than trying to micromanage your transformation. Your consciousness shifted for a reason, and that same intelligence that initiated the shift is also orchestrating the integration. This means that everything appearing in your experience, even the uncomfortable or confusing parts, is serving the larger purpose of establishing your new reality. The key is learning to respond to life from the perspective of your shifted consciousness, rather than the perspective of your personality that's still adapting to the change. One of the most transformative practices during integration is what I call frequency anchoring, where you consciously choose to embody the energy of your new consciousness throughout your daily activities. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about recognizing who you've already become and allowing that recognition to inform how you move through the world. When you speak from the wisdom of your shifted consciousness. When you make decisions, you consult the inner knowing that emerged from your quantum leap. When you interact with others, you do so from the loving presence that your new frequency naturally embodies. The integration process also involves releasing the identity structures that supported your previous level of consciousness. This can feel disorienting because these structures, even the limiting ones, provided a sense of familiarity and security. You might find yourself questioning beliefs you once held dear, feeling less interested in activities that used to define you, or sensing that your life purpose is evolving into something you don't yet fully understand. This identity dissolution is a natural part of quantum shifting, and rather than resisting it, you can learn to flow with it as the emergence of your authentic self. Another crucial aspect of integration is understanding that your relationships will naturally reorganize themselves around your new frequency. Some relationships will deepen as people in your life respond positively to your shifted energy, while others may fade or transform as they no longer match your vibrational bandwidth. This isn't about judgment or superiority. It's simply the natural result of energetic resonance. People who are aligned with your new consciousness will feel drawn to spend more time with you, while those who were connected to your old patterns may feel less interested in maintaining the same level of connection. The most beautiful part of conscious integration is watching how your external reality gradually reshapes itself to match your internal transformation. Opportunities that align with your new consciousness begin appearing with increasing frequency. Your living situation, work environment, and daily routines naturally evolve to support the person you've become. Resources, information, and connections manifest in response to your shifted frequency. This isn't something you have to force or pursue aggressively. It's the organic result of existing in resonance with a reality that reflects your expanded awareness. Throughout this integration period, practice patience with the timing of external changes. The quantum field operates according to perfect orchestration rather than human impatience, and forcing outcomes often creates resistance that slows down the natural unfolding process. Instead, focus on maintaining alignment with your shifted consciousness and trust that everything in your external experience is moving toward harmony with your new frequency. This trust itself becomes a powerful force that accelerates the integration process because it removes the interference of doubt and resistance. Remember that integration is not a destination, but an ongoing process of becoming. As you settle into your new frequency, you may discover that additional layers of consciousness become available for exploration. Quantum shifting often happens in stages, with each level of awareness preparing you for the next expansion of consciousness. This means that recognizing your current shift and integrating it fully creates the foundation for even deeper transformations that await your readiness to receive them. Once you've recognized that you've already quantum shifted and begun the integration process, the next phase involves learning to live fully from your new reality, rather than continuing to reference your old one. This is where many people unconsciously sabotage their transformation by maintaining mental and emotional ties to their previous way of being, even after their consciousness has clearly moved into a higher frequency. Living from your new reality requires the courage to trust your shifted perspective even when it contradicts what others around you might consider normal or acceptable. The first step in establishing yourself in your new reality is developing what I call quantum confidence, which is the unwavering trust in your own consciousness and its ability to navigate life from an expanded perspective. This doesn't mean becoming rigid or dismissive of other viewpoints. It means recognizing that your shifted awareness gives you access to information and guidance that may not be visible from lower frequencies of consciousness. When you feel an inner knowing about a situation, a person, or a direction for your life, You learn to honor that knowing even if you can't fully explain it logically or if others don't understand your choices. Living from your new reality also involves what I call energetic sovereignty, where you take full responsibility for maintaining your frequency, regardless of external circumstances or other people's energy. This means developing the ability to stay centered in your truth when faced with chaos, criticism, or pressure to conform to old patterns. You become like a tuning fork that maintains its specific vibration, regardless of what other instruments are playing around it. This energetic stability not only supports your own continued evolution, but also serves as a beacon for others who are ready to make similar shifts in their own consciousness. One of the most important practices for stabilizing in your new reality is learning to make decisions from your expanded awareness rather than from fear, obligation, or social conditioning. Every choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce your new frequency and align your external life more closely with your internal truth. This might mean saying no to commitments that once seemed important, pursuing paths that others don't understand, or making changes that seem risky from a conventional perspective but feel absolutely right from your shifted consciousness. The quantum field responds to the authenticity of your being rather than the perfection of your actions. This means that living from your new reality doesn't require you to have everything figured out or to never experience doubt or confusion. It simply requires you to consistently choose alignment with your truth over comfort, with familiarity. Each time you honor your genuine impulses, follow your inner guidance, and express your authentic self, you strengthen the energetic foundation of your new reality and make it easier for the external world to reflect your transformation. As you become more established in your new frequency, you'll notice that life begins to feel less like something that happens to you, and more like something that flows through you in response to your consciousness. Challenges still arise, but you meet them with the wisdom and perspective of your shifted awareness. Opportunities appear that perfectly match your evolving interests and capabilities. Relationships form based on genuine resonance rather than need or habit. Your work becomes an expression of your consciousness rather than just a means of survival. Perhaps most importantly, living from your new reality involves releasing the need to prove your transformation to anyone else or to have it validated by external achievements. The shift you've experienced is real regardless of whether others can see it, understand it, or approve of it. Your job is not to convince anyone else of your evolution, but simply to live it with such authenticity and joy that it speaks for itself. When you embody your transformation rather than trying to explain it, you give others permission to trust their own consciousness and follow their own path of awakening. The ultimate freedom of living from your new reality is the recognition that you are not bound by the limitations that once seemed immutable. The financial restrictions, relationship patterns, health challenges, or creative blocks that characterized your old frequency need not define your experience in your new reality. This doesn't mean that everything changes overnight, but it means that you now have access to solutions, resources, and possibilities that were not available from your previous level of consciousness. As you continue to evolve and expand, remember that your quantum shift is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of a new chapter in your consciousness evolution. The courage you demonstrated in making this shift has prepared you for even greater expansions of awareness that await your readiness to receive them. You are not just living a transformed life. You are pioneering new possibilities for human consciousness and contributing to the collective awakening of our species. Your recognition of your own quantum shift is a gift not just to yourself, but to everyone whose life you touch. By subscribing to this channel, you're joining a community of conscious beings who are committed to living from their highest awareness and supporting each other through the beautiful complexity of consciousness evolution. Share in the comments below what new reality you're stepping into and what support you need as you navigate this transformation. And if there are specific aspects of quantum consciousness you'd like to explore more deeply, let me know what questions are alive in your heart. This conversation doesn't end here. It's just beginning, and your participation helps weave the fabric of our collective awakening.